Hi, Radu, and thank you for having the time to talk to us today.
My pleasure, Lotte. Thanks for having me.
You're going to be one of the keynote speakers at the DCS this year. So I was wondering if you could give everyone listening a brief overview of you and your career.
Sure. So I'm the managing director of Alcott Global, with a focus personally on Asia Pacific, albeit the company is a global supply chain ecosystem. We like to say we connect the supply chain ecosystem globally, and we do that through a couple of things. One of the services that we provide is executive search for supply chain. So we place people in C-level and senior positions across the world. And myself, I'm kind of I guess in charge of that vertical for Asia Pacific, and I have a fair degree of exposure, hopefully of knowledge as well, in terms of what companies look for and try to find when they're looking for their leaders, for their executives, for the people to manage their businesses. So that's in a nutshell what I do.
So what would you say that is the most sought after skills in the industry right now?
Well, I don't know if I want to, I don't know if I want to give away the secret or not the secret, the presentation, because that's the presentation that I'm going to be doing at the summit, which is the 7 essential skills of a supply chain leader. Maybe I'll just create a little bit of an interest, or hopefully some level of curiosity, and I'll just say that I believe that there's 3 hard skills, 3 soft skills, and there is 1 fundamental skill that cuts across, and basically that is needed and necessary for all the other 6 skills to exist. So I would say there's 7, 3 hard, 3 soft, 1 fundamental, and tune into the presentation during your summit, and then I'll tell you all about it.
Is there no way that I can draw a bit more information out of you?
There is, yes, there is. So if you want, I can give you. So let's give one of each. So one of the hard skills that I would say is prevalent, and whether you're at an executive level, whether you're mid-level, even if you're just starting inside the industry, is something that I would urge people to look into, is the skill set of analytics, understanding data, making sense of data, what you call business intelligence type of skills. That is a must, because we live in an age where data is the new oil, gold, or whatever you want to call it. The most valuable companies in the world, as we all know, are data driven. It's the same in supply chain, it's the same in maritime, it's the same in shipping and logistics and so on, and companies need to make sense of this data. Now, not all of us will be data experts or data scientists and so on. That is not the point for most of us, but the point is we gotta understand, how do we make use of data? How do we understand what are some of the principles of making use of data, and how do we also leverage on that to make decisions? So that's one of the hard skills, right? So 2, I'll keep to myself for the summit. And one of the soft skills, one of the 3 soft skills that are absolutely necessary for people to be successful in a supply chain career nowadays, is presentation skills, communication skills. It's a little bit of almost of a obvious statement. However, in supply chain, in logistics, in transportation, in shipping, a lot of times people are very practical. They get stuff done. They get the box moved from point A to point B, or the product manufactured. However, the art of telling a story, presenting it in a way that people from sales or from the other facets of the business understand the value of, as well as presenting in a way that you can attract partners and the ecosystem external to your company and help you in the journey, is a different skill set altogether. And that skill set is absolutely necessary if you want to also grow your career, as well as, create that level of influencing and stakeholder alignment.
Why did you start working in the shipping industry?
That's a good question. And there was a bit of an element of kind of serendipity, I guess. It's not like I planned for it, and I would probably call it supply chain, because to me supply chain is a little bit broader than shipping. So it's I mean, whilst everybody has a definition for it, and it's not to get boggled into the definitions, but supply chain is ultimately everything that we see, we touch, we use is because of supply chain, right? We would not be able to eat the food that we eat. We would not be able to have this conversation on a laptop unless there was a supply chain involved that was able to produce this laptop that we are currently using, right? As well as all the objects around us. So it's everywhere. However, when I started 8-9 years ago, specifically in this, I probably did not know anything about it, and I did not understand at all what it meant. And it was a journey. So it was a little bit of serendipity. I always came from a background of consulting, and I was doing management consulting before, and then I ended up in executive search, and 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients, and it all kind of ended up being supply chain, shipping, transportation, logistics. So the more you do, the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And over time, that expertise, I guess, hopefully built itself up. So that's how I started by serendipity, and now 8 years later, I can say that I'm very much excited, passionate, constantly learning, and also the more people you know, it's like that effect of being part of a community, and that to me is the most important, because if you feel you belong, and you also feel that you're adding value in some small little way, whether it is placing people in positions and helping companies grow and helping their careers grow, whether we have a number of different avenues like podcasts and other content that we create to help people and educate and share knowledge. When you see the engagement and you see that you're making a difference, I think it kind of gives you that energy to continue in the space. So hope that answers your question. It was a little bit of a longer answer.
It does. You say that you're passionate, and that passion, you're going to be a keynote speaker at the DCS this year. Why are you passionate and excited about talking about your topic at the DCS?
I believe that ultimately people are the most important element in any company. And again, it might sound like an obvious statement to make. However, if you go to most conferences, before it was face-to-face, now they're virtual, most of the topics of discussion are around, in the industry at least, are around technology, using A, B, C, D, I'm not going to name them, different types of technologies, AI, blockchain, blah, 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 to, revolutionize, create breakthroughs and da-da-da. And look, don't get me wrong, technology is important. However, without people implementing it, people understanding how to use it, people working together to use it, no company is going to achieve anything. So you're better off with a team of motivated people than a team of motivated people using Excel is going to beat a team of demotivated people dysfunctionally working together using the best artificial intelligence tools. So for me, that's why I'm passionate. I'm passionate because I believe that ultimately it boils down to people. It boils down to being able to create a team, to blend different qualities, different types of personalities, different types of skill sets with a common goal. And that goal has to add value to a certain extent, right? To help people ultimately, right? Whether it's market or the business or the function or the whatever it may be, right? And that's why I'm super passionate about that. I am also super passionate because I feel that supply chain is at the point where there's a lot of transformation going, and a lot of, because of technology, actually, it's changing very fast, and it's evolving and growing very fast. But ultimately, it's still the people that need to drive that, right? It's a people business. So the topic of my sharing will actually be linked to that, what's the type of skill sets that we need and the type of mindsets that we need in order to keep that learning journey going. And I do believe that ultimately people will make companies flourish or fail.
So what would you say that people can learn from your keynote?
On top of the 7 essential skills on how to be a supply chain leader, and on top of my amazing passion for the industry that I hope I can contaminate them with and they can take back to their workforce. So there's my bit of commercial. So I think this will be 2 areas of focus, and then obviously I will do my best to make it practical. I do believe that ultimately theory doesn't help much, actually. So I'm gonna mostly try to share from what I have observed, and we do have the benefit and privilege to sit somewhat external to the industry whilst having a chance to speak to a lot of people within the industry. So I'll try to share examples of case studies and success stories of what works and demonstrate that each of those skills, we put them on that list because we have a very good reason. So there are very clear examples of how it works, and hopefully, you know, at least some of them will make sense to to the people that we watch.
You're talking about that the supply chain is evolving. So I'm wondering, have the skill set that are, you know, people are looking for and it's required, has that changed over time as well?
Some yes, some no. I guess like anything in life, right? Some fundamentals stay the same, and some things and a lot of things do change, but it's a blend, right? So I mean, ultimately the principle of how do you you know, we start from a laptop, right? How do you plan? How do you source for raw materials to build a laptop? How do you build partnerships with your vendors and so on? There's definitely going to be principles that whether you are doing it now or you've done it 30 years ago, it would be the same principles. However, there's also going to be other things, including technology, including ways of engagement, including, you know, we talked about, I did speak about analytics, right? So I mean, analytics have always been important, but I think have never been as important as they are today. So some, yes, have changed, some principles and some of these things have changed and have evolved, and some have stayed exactly the same.
Intriguing. We'll hear more about that at the DCS then. You said that you have been in the business for quite a few years now. So let me take you back memory lane for a bit. What would you say have been your most memorable moment so far?
Well, there's a lot, but I guess the most satisfying for us, for me, are a couple, and it's again linked to people. So one, I'm extremely happy when I see that somebody we helped position, you know, from an executive search perspective, and we help them in their career, comes back and says, look, guys, you've helped me, you've changed my life in a way, right? Also, we are thrilled when we get this feedback from the clients as well and say, look, because of your candidate, we've made progress, the business grew, and so on. And obviously, there's a big impact to a lot of people's lives, right? Because that person impacts, usually being in a top management position, a lot of other people that sit in the hierarchy of the company below them or report to them. So I think that's one big one, and that's that people connection. And also because of the intent that we've always had, or especially has accelerated in the last years, of giving back through content, through sharing, through reports, through podcasts. We have a podcast called Leaders in Supply Chain. It's heartwarming also to see all the good feedback and comments that we get from people, because they take that knowledge or that space of sharing, and that gives them access to people that they could not maybe get access otherwise. I mean, if you imagine if you're a student, or even if you're in mid-management position, you get access to a CEO that shares his or her thoughts on a topic, is not necessarily something that you would easily get access to. And we've tried to make that more to democratize, if you want, using a big word, but it is like that, right? That sharing session and that knowledge. And we've gotten literally people all over the world listening to the podcast, seeing some of the videos that we've put out and saying, wow, guys, you know, I'm very grateful, and this is how I'm learning. So I think that part for me, and there's many such examples, but that for me personally is the biggest and most rewarding piece of my career, is when I can see that we're making an impact in the people's lives.
And sharing that knowledge is something you'll also be doing at the DCS this year. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today, Radu.
My pleasure.
between your sessions, you can enjoy some awesome keynotes and workshops, to which you can actually bookmark on your schedule in advance. And the event is open for 24 hours to accommodate everyone all over the world.